you see a biker on the side of the road, you know there's a nice person there, and you're going to stop and help them. And when you're the person down there that needs help, you know that there's a biker that's going to stop and offer to help. So I mean, just the nicest people in the world just keep coming back.
Life in the late 1930s in Sturgis, South Dakota was pretty much the same thing as a lot of other small rural towns all over the country. People were in survival mode. It was the final days of the Great Depression. But on top of that, they had to deal with the Great Dust Bowl. In fact, about 50,000 people lost their homes, lost their farms, and had to leave the state in order to look for work. Enter a man named Pappy. In 1938, a man named J.C. Hoel, or Pappy Hoel, was running a successful ice business in Sturgis, delivering blocks of ice to people's homes. But Pappy saw the writing on the wall with the invention of the electric refrigerator, so he decided he was going to own a local Indian motorcycle dealership. Soon after that, he came up with the idea of hosting a motorcycle race in Sturgis, so he wrote letters to his friends all over the country, coaxing them to bring their motorcycles to Sturgis, South Dakota to participate in the race. 9 motorcycle racers actually showed up, and a couple of hundred people came out to watch the race. That humble little event was the birth of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. And life for Pappy and his wife Pearl would never be the same again. Every year, hundreds, then thousands of motorcyclists would be coming to town, riding with their friends, making new ones, and generally having a pretty good time. It was a party atmosphere. For the most part, most of the rally goers behaved themselves. Most, but not all. The only place to camp in town was the city park, and that held about 3,900 people. In the early 1980s, Jim Bush was a Sturgis police officer and would later become the chief of police. Bush saw firsthand how the rally evolved over the years, including everything that was going on at the city park.
Yeah, there's everything from fires that get going to people fighting, gunshots going off all the time, a lot of nudity. That's probably the biggest thing that pushed it over the top. They parked these big old buses alongside the road down there, and they'd have nudity dances on top of them. Okay. Well, the roads would block, people would stop and watch. And I mean, it just got to be, and a lot of people didn't care for that.
Okay.
Right out in the public.
So it's understandable from your point of view that, yes, it is getting a little out of hand. So for a police officer at the time for yourself, what did it take, or were you able to get all that under control?
No, because when I first was here, like I said, it was until '90 that I became chief. So I worked under 3 other chiefs between that time I was hired. And rightfully so, we pretty much didn't go in that campground. I got sent in there a couple times myself to calm down a bus show, and we got moved out. I mean, there was a lot of people down there, and they all wanted to see it. Okay. They didn't want a bunch of cops coming down there. It would have just created a lot of bad things for the police and them and everybody else.
They just had the idea that this was, for whatever reason, some sort of free-for-all.
Yeah, so we didn't go in there a lot. If we had something special that we had to go get somebody because somebody shot something or somebody or something, we go in and try to get them out early in the morning and find them and do our thing. But to go in there at peak time down there, I mean, there was just a lot of people packed in down there.
And then there were the motorcycle gangs, but even they had some problems with the rally.
There was just too many people. They couldn't do anything. I mean, nobody really cared they were even here.
There were so many people that nobody really cared.
I mean, there was just so much going on and so many people. They couldn't, they'd 2 or 3 of them would walk down Main Street and people would kind of look at them a little bit, but they couldn't just like it was when we let them down, right down through Main Street in a group, and everybody would stand and watch, you know, everybody just stop, you know. But it couldn't happen, there was just too much traffic, too much people. I couldn't let it go on.
Yeah, I get that.
I had to meet with all of them and tell them that, you know, their bosses, and just tell them that.
You had to meet with the leaders of the gangs.
Yeah, we talked, and
How'd that go?
well, it went because it had to. It just had to.
Okay.
You know?
For the first 4 decades of the rally, the city of Sturgis paid for everything that had to do with the day-to-day operations, things like police officers or garbage collection. By 1982, the bad behavior had gotten so out of hand, the citizens of Sturgis held a referendum. They wanted a public vote on whether or not the city would continue to financially support the rally or just wash its hands of the whole thing.
They brought forward the question that should the city spend money on what it takes to host the rally? The police, picking up the garbage, all those things, and that's what their initiative was, is to stop city services in providing for the rally.
And what was the motivation? Was it fear of their own safety, the violence, the out of control drunkenness? What?
Probably a portion of all of it.
Okay.
The structure wasn't there, so the city park was kind of a free-for-all, and things happen that certainly don't happen these days anymore, with the burning of trash cans and motorcycles and just the unsafe feeling of what it was. Currently today, the rally is to a point where, you know, there's families that come and it's a safe place to be. The motorcycle industry's changed where there's a lot more recreational riders out there, and that happened in those days. And I mean, the rally was built on racing, and then what the years we're talking about, it was the hardcore bikers that came.
Yeah. So the final vote from that referendum was something like 1,454 in favor of keeping
Correct.
the rally and sponsoring it, and then 800 what?
26 or something like that.
826 saying let's pull the plug.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a pretty good majority.
2/3 to a third approximately.
Yeah.
In that ballpark.
But you still, if memory serves correctly, you still took the mayor's advice at the time, back then, and which was, you know, regardless of the vote, we got to shut down the park.
Correct. That's what happened from that discussion within the town, was the fact that we can do better in hosting this, and the park isn't the place for people to be camping and having a free-for-all.
And with the residents of Sturgis having spoken, the revised rally continued on.
The rally still remained for about, you know, another 8 years or so, a pretty small event of 50, 60,000 people coming to town and enjoying Sturgis and the Black Hills and motorcycle riding.
Until
1990, the 50th motorcycle rally, historic and truly unexpected.
Yeah.
300,000 is the estimated attendance for that year,
Wow.
and truly no one expected that to happen.
The decision to shut down the city park was a game changer. Not only did it make the rally a lot more quiet for downtown Sturgis, it also opened the door for private owners to open campgrounds outside the city limits. Places like the Pappy Hoel campground, the Buffalo Chip, and others not only gave bikers a lot more space, they also offered entertainment options like motorcycle races, vendors, and concerts.
The businesses, they all stepped up. I mean, everybody's game stepped up. Have you heard the old saying that competition breeds an audience? You know,
Okay.
and so we feel like we contributed to putting our thumb on the scales to make the rally, and everybody else stepped their game up as well. And all the business around us, everybody was just challenging, you know, to make the rally the best it could be. And we think that people are going to come to the rally and go visit everywhere. We're not proprietary, and we don't look at it like it's that kind of a competition. We want everybody to enjoy every bit of the Black Hills. You know, this rite of passage, and there's so many people that are coming up with their sons now, you know, and like you said, people even bringing their families, because it's not an out of control event. People hear motorcycle and they want to think, you know, some people might automatically think that it's rough for them, but it's a really incredible, well organized, and the people have the best manners. And there's not a safer place to be in the country than in Sturgis during the rally. I mean, just the best people. It's the fiber of America regardless of political party, that comes together. And I'm so proud to be part of that fraternity.
I started this out as just kind of a party going to be once a year. So
Okay.
I didn't think ever it was going to be, didn't give any thought in those days to the possibility that we'd be hiring 500 and some people here to pull off an event, and that we'd be spending millions of dollars that, you know, I didn't have 10 cents to my name when we started.
Yeah.
And, you know, that we'd be spending millions of dollars in order to put this on and attract people to come, right?
Yeah.
But it's been a good ride. I mean, it's been fun, and we've met a lot of nice people. There's always a challenge because you're always looking to do better, and every year, and again, we started off, this was nothing but pasture, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There was nothing but 3 strands of barbed wire around it, no electricity, no water, no well. You know, when we bought, at one of the auctions, bought some property, there was an old barn over there. It's been standing there for 100 years. And then we bought some other property, another barn over there has been standing up there for 80 or 90 years. But that was only improvements on the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so never gave any thought, but it's kind of like people would come. And we've had people here for 2 and 3 weeks every year for more than 30 consecutive years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people spending decades of their life. And I love this place so much, I told my wife when I die, I want my ashes to go right there, right? And, you know, it's, you know, you have to think there's more to this than just throwing a keg party, right?
The Buffalo Chip also includes a tribute to veterans, which make up a big part of the rally attendees. It's called the Freedom Field, and it's something that's close to Woodruff's heart.
Right now to this day, I think we have probably the highest concentration of veterans here than just about any place except, you know, a specific military event, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we started, we had, I don't know, this is our 30-something year probably for having the Freedom Field going. And when we started, I honestly don't remember just how that all started, but we just started having things for veterans. But then we had one fella come in, and he had a 50 by 80 foot flag that he had wanted to fly. He was terminal, and he only had a few months to live, and this was his last place to fly this flag. And so we rented a crane, put up the flag, and then he offered to sell it to me if I promised to fly it afterwards, right? Next year's, right? And so I bought it from him, and then we built those flagpoles out there 120 feet tall, and we flew that flag until it wore out.
Another attraction that's evolved with the rally is the Sturgis Motorcycle Museum and Hall of Fame.
We're here at the location. We're right at the heart of the rally at the intersection of Junction and Main Street, so right there on legendary Main Street. What we've been able to do here in the historic post office and with our new addition is really highlight the sport, the industry, and the people that have made the rally and motorcycling great. And we do that also with our Hall of Fame. Obviously, the rally is so huge for all of us and such a big important part, both, you know, as a motorcyclist, as our museum, because also too, you know, if you think about it, racing brought us the rally, and it continues on, and it's now grown to so much more. And we bring so many people in, but at the same time too, I'm back to where we're open 12 months a year, so if you don't want to come then, there's always time for you to come out and enjoy the great riding in the hills.
That's something I think a lot of people may have known or know, but it just gets kind of lost in all the stuff going on with the rally. I think that we're on the doorstep of the Black Hills, and it's more than just the rally. It's all sorts of things associated with the Black Hills.
There's so much to do during the rally that oftentimes I think people will be out and about, and it can be visually overwhelming. But the great part for us is we are open 12 months a year. So that means that if you're not here during the rally, or if your schedule got too full, come back and see us at a different time. Or also, when I'm out talking to folks, is family vacation. You're on your way through the hills, stop by and spend a half a day with us, grab a bite to eat in downtown Sturgis, and then continue on your way. We've got Indians, we've got Harleys, we've got Hondas, we've got Suzukis, we've got Bull Tacos. We have just a variety of motorcycles, so there's obviously something for everybody here. And it's not just motorcycles. We have beautiful original art, we have memorabilia, we have artifacts from early rallies, we have early motorcycle parts. So we've got a lot of different things. So are you into advertising? Are you into design, graphics? There's something here for everybody.
The 75th anniversary of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally attracted about 740,000 people. Later, in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, attendance was still at about 400,000. So, what does the future hold for the Sturgis Rally? How many more people can it handle? And what will the 100th anniversary look like?
Pretty consistently, we're always at 500,000 without a doubt. With the anniversary years of 0 and 5, it always goes higher. The real challenge these days is the motorcycle industry, the amount of people, you know, the shift in the ages. I know a lot of people. The demographic is shifting. Yeah. So we've been working very hard to reach the younger people. To that effect, we digital market for people that look for the foodies that go out there and just look for events that have large amounts of food, for different music festivals. But
are you getting more social media hip?
We try. We're learning, I guess, is the best way. And we actually have made some moves within the organization to make sure that that's achieved. But just the fact that we have to reach more people, because I truly believe that once somebody comes to the rally once, they're going to return again, even if they're not a motorcyclist. Now, the ultimate goal would be to have them be motorcyclists or something.
I think that's the thing you have going for you. They don't want to just come once.
No.
They want to make it a yearly thing, or, you know, they definitely want to come back at some point.
They do, and they have family and friends that they see once a year at the rally. I mean, it becomes a situation where this is put on their calendar and they always return. I mean, and that's what, once they come once, we believe that the majority of people want to come again. I've also seen the shift over the years, the fact that people no longer come during the rally that came for decades during the rally, and they come either before or after because they want to still enjoy Sturgis and what the hills have to offer, but they say, I've done the crowd.
I'm done with the rally, but I just want to ride around in the hills.
Exactly. So, and that shoulder season is impactful for everybody in the Black Hills. I mean, that tourism is certainly there, and the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is the single largest tourism event in the state of South Dakota, and we plan on keeping on growing.
"17 more years and we'll have the 100th, and so I'm planning to be here, and we're planning to be different than we are now, because you have to make changes, you have to make improvements every year. People expect it, we expect it, we want it. Keeping up with society and the cultural changes, and still focusing on the people that really come to the Black Hills to hang out and have a good time. I mean, we focus on the folks that are 40 to 50 years old, because they were here when they were kids. Their parents brought them out, a lot of them, and now, I mean, we're here seeing the third and fourth generation of people that have been here. They came out here with their parents. Sometimes they come out here with their grandparents and have family reunions. They get married, and we had a bunch of people get married here, and a bunch of people meet here and then come back and get married because they met here. And then they have children, and then all of a sudden they don't have time or ability because the kids got to do this and so on and so forth. And then when the kids get old enough to be on their own and maybe move out of the house or can be left alone or brought along, they come back, right? And so by then they're 40 years old or 50 years old, right? And so that's kind of the heart of this whole operation, is those people right there that just want to get back and feel free, meet some new people, and just have a good time without necessarily knowing what it is, but knowing they can come someplace where they're going to enjoy the entertainment and be able to be safe. And there aren't too many places in the United States anymore, really, where they can just go and feel like they're going to be safe.
We've got some really exciting things coming up this summer at the museum. So we're going to be bringing in 2 bikes from the Motorcycle Cannonball, a 1937 Knucklehead, and we're also going to be bringing in and swapping up one of our galleries to expand racing more.
Okay.
We've got a couple more customs coming in. We just had Donnie Smith's Headhunter come in, which is a very iconic custom motorcycle from the 70s.
Okay.
And like I said, Donnie's coming into the Hall of Fame this year as a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And then also too, we'll be bringing in a full military 1942 WLA to expand our military gallery downstairs.
It's a good rally. It's huge and it's a good rally.
And you think even with the large crowds every year that the town does a pretty good job of handling the situation?
Yeah, I think they do. You know, this is a town of, what, 6,800 people? You know, they do excellently putting this all together. You know, the city and the city employees, you know, the public works people who put up all the barricades and do all the, you name it, you know, the garbage is crazy for them people. How, you know, even the police work. I grew from a 14-man department to almost the largest police department in the state that week. You know, that's quite a change.
Yeah.
You know, you got to feed them, you got to house them, you got to put them up, you got to keep everybody going and doing their job. And
yeah.
I mean, it's quite a change. And it's no different for those factors as it was the merchants here. I mean, all of that's got to be quite a change.
Yeah.
And they dealt with it quite well, I think.
From about 200 people coming out to watch some local guy put on a motorcycle race to an annual event that draws hundreds of thousands of people from all around the world. I think Pappy would be proud of how his humble little rally has survived and thrived here in West 605.